Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien vs. Predator Galaxy podcast. This is Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks, and joining me, as always, is.
Adam Zeller, aka RidgeTop.
And we're joined by, for this episode, a brand new face, voice, and name to the podcast. It's Mr. Henry Price, aka Xing. Welcome to the podcast, Henry.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Indeed. Looking forward to learning more about Henry shortly. Before we do start pestering Henry about himself and his projects going off, I just wanted to explain a little bit about the intent of this episode and potentially future episodes like this. So what I want to do going forwards is highlight more fan creators, people working on productions or various projects or costumers, stuff like that. Other fans out there who are sharing their love and passion of the Alien and Predator franchise in their own ways. I'm probably going to call it something like the Inquest sub-series or something like that, just something nerdy. I was thinking Debrief, but then I was like, yeah, but we've already got a YouTube series called The Debrief, but that's all boring logistics. You guys and girls don't need to know about that. But that's the intent behind this. And the first person that I've invited on for this is Henry, because I was shared by, actually, Henry, I'll tell you, one of our regular followers and viewers on YouTube left us a few comments on our various videos going, have you seen this awesome fan production where David Attenborough visits LV-426? And it took me a little bit of time to get to you, I'll be honest. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got there. I watched it. I was
end.
like, holy shit, this is fucking brilliant. This is so much fun. Which was, when I reached out and invited you on, us, come and tell us about this, because you're also working on more than that as well. But again, we'll talk about that as we go through. So I think that's enough for me talking. Adam, why don't you start us off with our very traditional way of learning about our guests?
When we have new guests on the podcast, we have a tradition. We always have to ask, what was the first time you encountered the Alien and or the Predator franchise? So do you remember the first time you saw the movies? What was your experience of that like?
Right. Yeah. So I think it more or less goes in line with most fans. I watched it when I was way too young. I think I must have been about 7 or 8. And just the atmosphere of the first movie and the combination of sci-fi and horror. See, I think everyone's watched Starship Troopers and movies like that where it's quite upbeat and it's quite cool. You wanted to be a Marine, and then you have something like Alien and it's just regular people. I think Ridley Scott used the term space truckers. They're just hauling mining stuff, if I remember. And just seeing this like creature burst out of someone's stomach, and then you think, geez, that's a nightmare. And then the thing is like 6 feet tall. You think, Christ, My first thought was, what if the face hugger would like go on a gorilla or something like that? Then of course Alien 3 came around, and that kind of answered my question somewhat. And ever since from then, my mum, she used to buy me like the old Kenner toys, from the 90s. Of course, she had all the variations. You had the rhino one, the snake one.
Did you get the gorilla one though?
Of course, I got the gorilla one. I've been like, I was young. I wasn't on the earth long, but that's all I wanted my whole life. So from there, and then of course AvP came out. It's just amazing. I know most people don't like it, but for me, I like it as an action movie with some very soft horror aspects to it. But I really enjoyed it because I love Predator as well, like most fans, right?
Was it your first in the cinema?
No, I was still too young, man.
Okay.
I was like 9 years old.
Oh,
Again, I shouldn't have watched it.
Making us feel old now.
No, I didn't. The only one I've watched in the cinema is Covenant.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched Prometheus. Oh, I did watch Prometheus in the cinema. For some reason, I don't include it in the Alien universe because it's so different. But I guess that was the. Yeah. It's the first Alien movie.
I'm gonna say that's surprising given one of your projects.
I love Prometheus. I am one of the. I know it's like really split. Into people hate it, people love it. People liked it. They wanted to see more of it. I loved the whole ride of Prometheus, and I thought Covenant wasn't terrible. I probably get crucified for that.
No,
on YouTube.
there's a lot of defenders of the prequels. You know,
Well, I
a
wouldn't-
lot of fans enjoy them as well.
Yeah, you know, I love Ridley Scott as a director. He's such a strong visual director, and it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if his script doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I just enjoy the ride. It's like a roller coaster. Oh, does it compete to the original two? No, of course not. I don't believe anyone that would ever say any otherwise. But like, it just in terms of lore building, I thought it was at least interesting at best.
I think Adam's about to walk out now.
No,
Oh,
no, no.
no.
Again,
I picked you
again,
up.
I'm not one of those fans, man. Like I
Yeah.
have mixed feelings about the prequels, but I mean, no one can deny Ridley's direction, and they're beautiful movies, and I'll still go back and watch them. You know, I like them more than The Predator. So,
Oh, the Predator was shit. Oh yeah, I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yes,
It's
you are
fucking
allowed to
awful. I couldn't
Yes,
stand it.
well.
I was so excited to watch that. My girlfriend's also a massive fan, and we thought, yeah, a new Predator movie. It started off, I thought, what? Predator's dead already? What the hell? Okay, let me see where it goes. I wish I didn't. I wish I just ended it there because I would have avoided the car crash that followed. There's like no redeeming aspects. At least like Covenant, you know, it was pretty coherent. The effects were really good. At least they tried to make it horror.
yeah.
You know,
It did
those
have a
horror
really
elements.
interesting, like gothic horror kind of vibe to
Mhm.
it. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
things about the prequels I like. It's not like someone's like, I like the prequels, and I'm just like, I'm leaving.
You
Get
do
out,
get people
you know?
like that, and you know, I've been crucified online because I said they were okay. Like, you
That's
know, I'm not
that's
saying
not how
they're the
fandom
best.
should be. People have to
It
be able to
isn't.
just disagree and debate and stuff. And
Yeah,
keep it civil.
totally. Okay, good. So I'm allowed to stay, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you can stay.
No, I just more expected Adam to turn off and then just disappear more than
It's
anything.
yeah,
Hey,
it like
I'm
disconnects.
again, I'm the AVPR defender, so I'm used to
No
being
way. Are
a
you?
minority on an opinion.
You
But
liked the original script? I watched your recent podcast. You thought it
I
was
don't know.
interesting.
Well, it was interesting. I don't
Interesting.
know if I'd say I liked it, but
That's true. There were some elements in it that sounded better, but for the most part, I agree with you. Like the bit for me in your podcast was you know, they gave backstories to characters that are literally on the screen for 5 seconds.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like it's really difficult to get like to understand their thought process when they're writing it. I
Yeah.
don't know. Oh, we can talk about it for
Even a
hours, I
little bit of
think.
backstory, I think, helps because I noticed this. I saw Alien 3 in theaters for the first time recently, and it was the
Really?
theatrical cut. And I hadn't watched the theatrical cut for a long time. And I
Ah,
just noticed, like, these prisoners, no wonder people were just like, who's this person again? Because it gives zero backstory, where you get just that extra bit of backstory in the assembly cut, where you have a bit more context with Golic, right? And then you have kind of a resolution of the arc with Junior. So there's just a bit more story to these characters that we still don't know very much, but it just adds a lot knowing just a little bit about them.
yeah,
So,
that makes sense. Alien 3, I feel it was just so misunderstood because everyone judged it on the theatrical cut, right?
yeah,
I
because the
think.
assembly cut wouldn't be out until the early 2000s on
No, it was
DVD.
released much later, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
because I didn't watch. I haven't watched the theatrical cut. I think I watched just some of the scenes because it was a dog alien, and I think in the second one it was a cow, or was it the other way around?
It's an
ox.
ox, yeah.
An ox, that
So
was it.
cow animal, but
Same, yeah, bovine, right? It's still quite cool. But I thought Alien 3 was alright. I think everyone it gets so much hate because they killed Hicks and Newt.
yeah, in the theater,
Man,
I
how
will
can you do
say,
that?
in the theater, it did feel even more depressing. So I just imagine myself back in the day coming off the high of Aliens, right? Like, oh shit, we're doing like the ultimate battle on Earth now, and then this is what they get. So I can still kind of, as beautiful and nihilistic and interesting as that movie is, if I put myself in just a moviegoer shoes, seeing that in theaters after the first two, I can
Yeah,
see
you wonder
why
what
it
the
got the
point
opinion
is.
it did. Yeah.
Yeah. Alien obviously always has that kind of bleak, you know, atmosphere, but Alien 3 just took it to another level. You think, Jesus, where's the fun in that?
That's why I love Alien 3.
You do like it. It is good
Yeah.
though. Yeah, I like it. It's a good horror movie.
And
Absolutely.
how about
I-
Predator? Did you see that? Oh, sorry, Aaron, you finish first. What were you going to say about Alien 3?
There's a bunch of things I wanted to say there, actually.
Uh-oh.
Well,
You've
no,
been
I mean,
offended.
no, not at all. I think it's interesting that you've never seen the theatrical cut, and I don't think you'll be that rare of a person who has never seen theatrical cut.
I just heard it's not worth it. You know, it's just the assembly cut is just so superior.
Well, you know that the quadrilogy coming out and that edit of the film coming out caused a lot of people to reevaluate the film, and for a lot of us, like Adam said, all that additional backstory and scenes and time spent with the other characters was worth it, and that's something a lot of people think.
Fair enough.
What else? What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, I just love it being depressing as fuck. I don't know if that's a British thing because the film was a lot better received in Europe back in the day, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, because back then, even today, European cinema typically tends to be more grounded in reality, for lack of a better term. And back then, American movies, for the most part, were just happy ending, everyone lives, the monster dies. Where in European cinema, everyone dies. It's depressing. You want to kill yourself,
It
which I
appeals to our
prefer too.
sensibilities more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that movie The Descent, where you had the British ending where it's like she thought she escaped, but no, she's just losing her mind and still in the cave. And then the American ending was like, oh no, she actually did get out. Like, as fucked up as that all was. But,
that was Neil Marshall, weren't it?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True.
I always wish we'd have got an Alien film from him.
Yeah. No. What has he done?
Like
Didn't he do Dog Soldiers?
He did Dog Soldiers. I'm trying to.
That's
I sometimes get him and Danny Boyle mixed up. Somebody was offered an Alien film, and I feel like it was Danny Boyle was offered.
I think Danny Boyle was. Yeah.
But
he was first choice. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But
those two guys, I would love to have seen done Alien. But anyway, go ahead, Adam.
Both great directors. I was just going to ask Henry. So, how about Predator? Do you remember the first time you saw Predator?
Yeah, I did. I think I was even younger. I think I was about 6. I watched it with my older sister, and I didn't know what Predator was. This was back in the day when your dad would just record something on a VHS. So I was like, okay, it's got Arnie in it. That must be so fun. We had no idea that there was an alien. We just thought it was him, killing like communists in South America, and then they were getting hunted, and we were like, oh, this guy's got night vision and heat vision. That's so cool. He must be a super soldier. And then like the scene where he's like healing himself, we're like, what the fuck is this? Loved it. It's an awesome movie as well. It's so cheesy, but it feels so different from Alien. But they go so well together. They're both like the separate ends of cinema around that time. Well, Predator was what? When did that come out?
87.
87, right? And Alien was 79?
Yes.
Big difference in time, yet they somehow interlink in a weird way. It kind of works. But I love Predator too. But Alien has always been the franchise I tend to prefer.
Yeah, Alien I definitely kind of discovered first, and I discovered Predator through Alien, through like the Kenner figures. I was like, wait, what is this ultimate alien hunter? Like, who is this other guy?
It's so weird that they like marketed that towards children. I never understood that.
Yeah, they used to do that with R-rated movies more often. They had like kids' toys for them. Yeah, like RoboCop,
Terminator. Yeah, you had all these cool ass toys, and you had no idea what they were a part of. But that's how they introduced the next audience.
Exactly, because they know like they're going to want to see those movies eventually, and it works.
Of course,
so
definitely.
But let's talk a bit more about what you're doing right now. So you're a new YouTube creator. We can sympathize. We were talking before the podcast. It can be a little tough as newer YouTube creators.
It's a minefield for sure.
Exactly. But you've been working on a lot of how would I describe this? So like CG animated short films. You have a number that are kind of Alien prequel inspired.
Yep.
But the one that I found out about you from was Aaron showed me this David Attenborough. It's like a mock documentary of him visiting LV-426, and it's just really well done, really charming. I showed it to my girlfriend this morning, and she really liked it because we had been watching Prehistoric Planet recently, so it was cool to get that. And you use like an AI generator for his voice. I assume you didn't actually call up David Attenborough.
I called, but he didn't answer, so I had to take the alternative.
It was convincing. I don't know if some AI voice systems are just better than others these days, but it was really
AI is moving so is moving so quickly.
Times with that.
Yeah, really. So the way I wrote the dialogue, I used ChatGPT v4. So everything he's saying is also AI generated. All the dialogue in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just prompted what I wanted him to say, and they would rewrite it in a manner that matches his speech pattern.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
and
I would have figured you had just written a script
I should
for
have just
him
taken
to say
credit
that.
for it, shouldn't I? What the hell? What am I doing? But it's crazy because I made that in a month. I think it was about 10 minutes. Originally it was 15 minutes, but it was just too bloated. I needed to just really cut it down. If I was to remake it, I would probably do it a little bit differently, more fast-paced, more sort of creepy action scenes. Not like to turn it into a parody, but just to make it a bit more exciting for the viewer. I'm
Yeah.
still like sort of navigating, what kind of palette my audience has for it. So with the David Attenborough mockumentaries, it seems to be quite popular. I've had so many suggestions. They say I should do a part 2 where he explores an alien hive, and using the books and everything out in the comics, sort of write a dialogue about the reproductive system of the aliens, the xenomorphs, which could be fun. Got to be careful though, because the lore is it's kind of solid on that. So I would love to know what your opinions are, actually. So maybe you can sort of school me a bit with it. So I've seen all of the deleted scenes from Alien, and it seems to me like the xenomorph is called egg morphing, right?
Yeah, so
Do you know
that's
how that ties in with like the Queen and the Hive? I know they're
so
separate writers, and that's probably
that's a
why.
concept that was only really shown in the director's cut, even though it wasn't really a director's cut of Alien. And it showed a hive that was built in the Nostromo, a mini hive, and it
Yeah,
showed Brett and Dallas essentially being mutated
cocooned.
into eggs themselves.
Yeah,
It's never really appeared officially again, but it's been kind of
Prototype.
hinted at by, like, I know in the comic book, Tristan Jones said he was hinting at it, right? In Defiance, Aaron.
Well, actually, I don't remember that, but it was in Prototype, the book.
Oh, really? So they specifically said
Mhm.
it there. Okay. Huh. It's been a while since I've read Prototype. But anyway, it doesn't appear too often in lore. I've never been a fan of the concept personally. But if you want to
Uh,
go for it, go for it.
no,
Okay.
it's not.
But
I always like to. So I played the Alien. Obviously, I played the AvP 2, the game, and also Aliens vs Predator, which came out 2010. And you play as number 8, Subject 8, the Xenomorph, and the Queen dies. You kind of kill everyone, and you go on a spaceship, and the end cutscene is of the Xenomorph morphing into a queen, and then the Queen lays the eggs. I've always kind of been a fan of that
yeah.
sort of.
Likewise, the whole queen molting thing. Yeah, that's been another thing in fandom where it's like, if there's no queen around, whatever the dominant warrior is or whatever will just
It's kind
become
of
a
cool, right?
Praetorian, then become a queen. Yeah. I've
Okay,
always
so
liked that one.
so if I explore that idea in my next David Attenborough one, I've got your seal of approval
That's
on
got
that
my vote,
concept.
but you
Okay,
do
that's
what you
all I
want.
need, Adam.
I
But
always
yeah,
liked the egg morphing, to be honest. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, you're more
it's quite
partial to that
Lovecraftian, isn't it?
than the queen molting, Aaron.
there's don't get me wrong, the molting's fine, and it sounds very realistic. Makes sense, That's the kind of thing you see with bugs and them getting all wrapped up and metamorphosizing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But because the egg morphing's never really been visited that much in the official media, it's mostly just theories and fan conjecture and stuff like that. But I always like the idea that it would then create like a special queen egg.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I
because
mean, that's my fan theory.
yeah, because in Alien 3, there's a queen facehugger. This is,
That one's only in the assembly cut. They
yeah,
show
it's not in
very
the original,
briefly.
right?
Yeah, because in the original you only see one egg, but
Somehow
the
there's
dog
2.
was somehow face hugged, but you see a live face hugger, so it's like this might have not been the same face hugger that was on the ship. So
Yeah.
Alien 3 is
That's
just
all a
all
mess.
confusing there.
That's just a mess, yeah.
That's a mess.
But do you subscribe to the idea that there's a
I've
a
always
queen
liked,
face hugger,
I've
or
liked
you
that
like it?
idea where it's like
Okay.
there is a preset queen face hugger, and maybe the molting doesn't happen unless that's not
It's not
around
around.
or something.
Okay.
And
Yeah, they
we've
don't
recently,
necessarily contradict.
no, I
Yeah.
mean, we've recently played we've been replaying for its 20th anniversary a game called AvP Extinction. And
Is that the
you can
RTS?
just yeah, and you can
Yeah, I
just
know that
like
one.
transform a regular egg into a queen egg or a Praetorian egg, and then
Yeah,
the Praetorian becomes a queen. So
exactly.
they all have
Yeah.
their own little variations of how you get to the queen, I guess. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, I am more of a fan of a lone xenomorph, that kind of mod, so I probably would go with that. It's more established too, like it's better documented, so I've got more reference material to go off.
There's more than just 6 in AvP 2010, yeah. So there's loads of material that you can play with for research there.
Totally, yeah. I've also considered doing the Ultra Home Planet as well. I've got a bunch of models for that.
nice.
3D models. One of my good friends, his name's Draco Warrior. Shout out to him. He does a lot of my modeling for me, which is great. He actually just made a Deacon model, which is a little bit of a spoiler for what's coming out.
Ooh.
But yeah,
Yeah, for that.
the young form and the adult form, so that's quite cool. But he's also done a really cool feral predator, so it would be cool for David Attenborough to sort of comment on the differences between the different Yautja species.
Yeah, I bet that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely. I just wish I had more time. It's not in the pipeline for me now. I've got like several projects. So my current plan right now is to make one animation per month. So Vault of Heaven, which is like really my first ever big animation. It's probably going to be about 35 minutes long. It's the preview clip I've shown you. I know I've sort of teased a bit. You saw the run animation of the Queen chasing the space jockey.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that's really fun. It doesn't really sit well with the lore too much. So the way I've got it set up is there's like a slave race of aliens, which harvest the eggs from the queen, and they provide the eggs to the engineers. And the slave race, for whatever reason, the queen, kind of ignores them, doesn't care about them. I theorize that's why space jockeys might use them like that, and they do look quite similar as well. And
They're the blue dudes, yeah.
they're the blue dudes, right? The one with the glowing eyes.
It was I don't mean to give all your models away here, but correct me if I'm wrong, those are like Mass Effect models,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I had
Okay.
to borrow. Yeah, because it's my first animation. I had nothing to go off, so I had to go off that, which I'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, it's kind of like there's a sort of head, like person that's in charge of the slaves, and he's the only one that can communicate. He wears a biomask, a predator biomask, but he wants to revolt against the space jockeys. So in order to do that, he tries to get a face hugger out of an egg. The eggs are locked down. There's a good scene where they're trying to open one up and they accidentally kill it. They also kill others in the room as well. So their idea is to sort of ambush a space jockey when he's by himself, when he's doing an inspection. Of course, the space jockey just wrecks them. I've got a scene. After watching Prey, it's really inspired me to do a real badass sort of beatdown scene. So it's very similar to that. Like, I've got like 20 models running at this guy, and he pulls out a sword and he's just fucking them up. It looks sick. And then he accidentally wakes the queen up in the process of being badass. And then suddenly he's the one that has to run. So the slave race kind of use that. They knock him unconscious, and then I don't want to give too much away, but there's a deacon involved. Let's just put it that way. And what I wanted is for the head of the slave race, he obviously needs weapons to fight the space jockeys. So he wants to open all of the eggs and just impregnate all of the other slaves. So he's using everyone around him, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're playing around with the prequel lore, because one of the things Aaron and I have noticed is in the official projects, I think they're always nervous because they don't know what Ridley's going to do next, so they'll never like play with the prequel lore too much. I think Fireteam Elite kind of pushed that as far as we've seen it, but in some of the fan creations like yours, I remember there's another animated series that came out not long after Prometheus, kind of on the lead up to Covenant, but yeah, to see the fans kind of play around with those concepts a bit more has been really cool. Now, do you use is it Source Filmmaker?
Yeah,
Source.
Cool. Yeah, so right now, because it's kind of outdated now, but it's great for beginners because you have just an enormous amount of assets. It's so easy to load up and learn animation. I'm completely new to it, so I was able to do it. I also have motion capture as well, so all of the movements you see are all me. Actually, I'm also
That
the
was
Ah,
actor
that
for it.
was another thing I was going to ask you, because the movements were so natural. I thought it
Oh,
must have been
thank you.
motion capture. And you're seeing now with like games like VR chat, people will just put on full motion tracking suits
It's
and things like
crazy.
that. So
Yeah, it's insane, but it really helps me. The only thing is, when I did the running animation for the space jockey, it's full bolt. I've only got like a 4 meter room, so I only could do 2 steps, and then I had to loop it. But it worked really well, so I'm quite happy with that. But the queen itself is so different to our anatomy. That is completely by hand. And I
hmm.
used the Rexy animation as a reference from the Jurassic World games,
Hmm.
because I envision her to move like a T-Rex. I know she looks really cool when she runs an AvP, but I always thought it was a bit too quick, looked a bit too light on her feet, so I wanted it to be like really heavy, like this massive head, massive tail to counterbalance. Just gives it more weight and makes it a bit scarier, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
I
this,
just sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
I was gonna say, so this is something you're just doing as a hobby.
Hobby, yeah. So
You're not
during
a professional.
No, not at all. This is completely new to me. So during COVID, I learned how to animate. It took me about a year, and that's when I started my animation project. And I've got so many like in the pipeline. I'm kind of already working on. But yeah, Vault of Heaven is definitely. I'm almost done. I just have to do one more scene, and then it's complete. And then I've allowed myself a week to edit everything as well, and then I'll create subsequent episodes of it too, because I don't want to wait so long to keep releasing things. So the first is kind of like a prologue. It's about 35 minutes long, and then a follow-up will probably be more 5, 8, 10 minutes long, whatever feels natural. But the end goal is to have a big battle between space jockeys and xenomorphs, and I've got some really cool stuff in mind. I've already started animating. I've got like a colossal ancient queen, and she's like the size of Godzilla. And that's like the xenomorph's answer for whacking the the derelict ships out of the sky. So it's cool. It's gonna be like giant space nukes, and yeah, this is like just literally the beginning. So yeah, it's gonna
Nice.
be a lot of fun. It's gonna be new. The thing is, we're making fan material. You kind of don't want to make what's already done, because I'll never ever be as good as the movies. Never. So I wanted to sort of deviate somewhat. That still respects the law somewhat, so it doesn't interfere with anything. It's completely
Hmm.
separate to what we know already, and it could happen. We don't really know what happened, on any of those planets where they stored the eggs and the black goo and everything else. So I guess this is my sort of telling of it. It's not too serious.
Yeah, no, it's what I've seen so far has been really interesting. I just barely watched your the running animation with the queen and the engineer, and I thought that was really well done. I was like, yeah, she kind of looks like she's moving like a T-Rex. So it's funny that you got it from that. Was it like Jurassic World Evolution,
Yeah,
maybe?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so on Jurassic World, it's funny. On my computer, I ran the animation, and I had my laptop here, and I was like copying it, type thing. I was using it for reference, and
That's
it
cool.
it seemed to work quite well. We haven't really seen we don't really know how the Queen runs. I know in Aliens, but obviously it was like the technology at the time. They did the best they could. In AvP, I just felt it moved too lightly. Yeah. What are your
Yeah.
opinions on that?
I mean, it's interesting because yeah, you have the difference between the movement of the queen in Aliens, where she's more kind of like awkwardly moving and her legs are like kind of
Yeah.
by her sides, whereas in AvP she was more kind of dinosaur like. And I always kind of preferred the AvP incarnation, and we've kind of
Yeah,
seen her
me
move like
too.
that in the games as well, at least the more recent ones. So how about you, Aaron?
It's funny because we were just talking about this on Discord or on the forum today. I can't remember which one it was, but I was like, no, it was in regards to the Praetorians actually.
Okay.
So it looks awkward as hell when she is moving in Aliens, and a lot of that is to do with the fact that it was either a giant ass puppet or a rod puppet or miniature puppet. But it makes sense that she would move awkward because she's supposed to have a stationary life. You know,
Exactly.
she sets up factory and then just starts pumping out those eggs, so it makes sense. Um, I know
confined
where.
space as well, right? It's
Yeah,
not like
and
AvP.
in the
It's out in the
corridor.
open. It's corridor for humans, not like
Well,
3 meters tall.
I
You know,
suppose you do have some of the temple corridors, I think, where you get some good shots of her running down in AvP. But yeah, I know where you're coming from, and I can see it in terms of it being a little too light forward. And I think that's a problem a lot of CG tends to have.
definitely. Yeah,
Is getting that realistic weight and inertia to the generated imagery. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed what you did with the run animation as well, because
oh,
she
thank you. Appreciate it.
felt damn heavy. And
Yeah.
it's I what you're saying about all these tools and stuff that you've been using. It's great to offer fans an ability to do these kind of things, to flex their passion, to flex their creative muscles with things like the Source filmmaker, and having all
Yeah.
these assets there ready and available for you to use, because then you are focused on
Creativity.
what's going on in your noodle, and flexing that fan creativity. It's
Yeah.
really cool to hear you
It's definitely a
utilizing
good
all
place.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just such a good place to start. But I am transitioning to Unreal now, which is obviously photorealistic. It looks fantastic, but it's so different. So I'm still gonna make content. As mentioned before, at least once per month, it would be good to do a sort of Alien fan movie, and then slowly start to release stuff in Unreal, and then from there on, it should be good.
Is it Unreal 5
Unreal
or
5.2.
okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
seen so many interesting like tech demo videos of what can be done with Unreal,
It's
but still
amazing.
not a lot of games have used it yet. Like I saw one they did with the Rivian electric truck manufacturer, and they just
Mm.
showed these generated environments and the lighting reflections on this truck driving through this like jungle, and it was just unbelievable what
It's so
can be done in that.
photorealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does so much of the heavy lifting for you too. Like it's a lot more convenient than what I'm currently using. So I should be able to make much better content that looks more appealing at least.
Would you say Source Filmmaker is good for like beginning animators though, that want to just like get their feet wet, get into it? Like Unreal might
Totally.
take a bit more technical knowledge, or
Yeah, Unreal, because you can just do so much more. It's inherently a lot more complicated as well. But there are some really good alien models out there as well. So there's so much potential with it, really. Also lip syncing, the technology with Unreal is just crazy. That's Unreal, right? But you got an app for your phone, and it reads your face and it live streams to your editor in Unreal, and like you actually can act, and it like replicates your facial animations, which is just such a
is that
game
the
changer.
like metahuman tech that they've
Yeah,
added? Or
yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah. For MetaHuman, a lot of models do support it, but MetaHuman's just crazy. It's so good. So yeah, that's definitely the direction I want to heading. But for now, I'm just having fun. I'm just telling some fun stories.
Yeah,
And yeah.
my favorite part of your David Attenborough video, I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but is
Well,
where
actually, wait.
It's
If
been
you're
out long
listening,
enough.
if you're listening to this and you haven't already watched it, go on YouTube and find David Attenborough visits LV426.
Thank you very
Then
much.
come back to this episode, please.
okay,
Adam, go
I
ahead.
can spoil it now. Okay, so
Go ahead.
it's where he puts the face hugger back gently.
Oh, that was hilarious.
So I mean, that must have been something like Chat GPT came up with, and you're like, this would be
No,
funny if he doesn't,
can't.
or you added that bit yourself.
No,
or?
yeah, completely. The only thing I used ChatGPT for was just the dialogue to help him with the writing.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not my thing. All the camera direction, the general plot of it was all me. Yeah, I actually recorded a lot more skits than that, but I felt like it was too goofy. Like originally I had a working Joe, and he was completely useless. Like one of the crew members would fall over, and he would just stand there awkwardly staring at him when he's trying to
That sounds great,
give me a
though.
hand.
You should do
Yeah,
that
and
in
then
the
he kind of
future
gets
one.
up and he just whacks the working Joe with a hammer. I might release it just on Instagram, just for fun. But yeah, it felt too goofy, so I kind of left it out.
Why
did you decide David Attenborough for this?
Oh man,
Why this documentary?
I was just playing around with AI tools at the time, and I was using something called 11 Labs, and that allows you to train AI models. And I was kind of just experimenting. I wanted to use it for future projects, so I thought, let me just do David Attenborough. It's such like a iconic voice; you can't really replicate it easily. Of course, it replicated it really well. So it's like, oh, wouldn't it be quite fun? I was thinking, what can I release for Alien Day? That was the original idea for it. And yeah, I thought let me just add those two together. I think it was relatively easy to make. All of the movements of David Attenborough are recorded in one take, and then I cut it up and put him in different environments. So it was fairly easy to make.
Yeah, no, it's and again, when we release this episode, just look in the description, you'll see a link to it. So if you
Perfect.
haven't already, after Aaron's prompting, be sure to go check it out because it
Please
is
do.
a pretty fun video.
Thank you.
So when do you think you're going to drop Vault of Heaven? When do you think that's going to be done?
I'm aiming for this month, end of this month. Yeah, because I want to
Okay.
start working on my next project immediately after it's released.
Okay, so as of recording, that would be the end of June.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So
Yes.
I've got like 4 episodes on the go at the minute, so I'm not sure when this particular one will drop. But
Or maybe it's already released. Hopefully.
so
Fingers
if
crossed.
you're listening to this episode after the end of June, head to YouTube and go to Xing Republic and see what Henry's got on there for us.
Thank you very much.
Is the next project Alien, or are you branching out into?
No, it's
other-
only Alien. I can tell you about everything I've got in the pipeline, and I would love to hear your guys' feedback on it.
Well, don't spoil too much.
No, I'll give you like really basic, synopsis of what I got. So my girlfriend came up with this idea. Actually, she said it would be quite fun to have Indiana Jones visit the temple from AvP, the one under the ice.
Oh yeah,
And
that
I
would
sort of
be
recreate some of
kinda
the
cool.
scenes. Yeah, I recreate some of the scenes in the movies, but it will have obviously a twist because Indiana Jones is there, and his whole thing is he wants to get like the Predator's gun, and that would be a cool way just to incorporate everything all at once. So that seems quite fun. It feels quite easy because I have everything I need to get started already. So I'm thinking that.
Yeah, I
And
like the sound of that one. That one's
do you?
really fun.
Yeah, Indiana Jones fans hopefully will like it too. I love
Well,
both
you
franchises.
might have one Predator one in mind, right? You said your friend did the feral Predator model that you
Oh
were thinking
yeah,
of something to do with.
Exactly, yeah. So I've got a really good feral predator. I've already rigged it up to motion capture and everything like that. I thought it would be quite fun to do a David Attenborough. He sort of goes to the Yautja homeworld,
Oh,
and
that's right.
so he sort of notes down, or what would you call that? Narrate the differences between the Yautja species, and maybe he gets into a fight with one. That could be kind of fun. But that's kind of far down the line. But we'll see how popular this one goes. So yeah, Indiana Jones is one. Another one, it's kind of different. It's during World War II. A division of German soldiers stumble across a cave that has has a xeno hive within it. And the story will just focus on this isolated unit as they defend their trench from an alien onslaught.
That
I think
sounds
it'd be
really cool.
like a unique blend of like historical horror and the alien lore as well. You can have them all lined up shooting at waves of xenomorphs all at night, of course. I just think that would be kind of neat to see as well. Don't know
Yeah,
what you guys think of that.
there's a game that just came out called Amnesia: The Bunker, if you've heard of it, and
Yeah, no, I
they kind
have.
of
Yeah,
compared themselves to Alien,
I
and
might have
it
to play
was
it.
like I think it's like World War One or World War Two or something, but you're
I
just
think
in
it's
this
World War
dark
One.
bunker
Yeah.
being chased by this monster. So
Yeah.
that kind of reminded me of that a bit.
Yeah, and there's just something so creepy about World War One trenches. I don't know what it is. We get
Mhm.
taught a lot about it at school. Aaron, I'm sure, knows. So yeah, it's just the stuff of nightmares. It makes sense to kind of combine the two, and it would be cool just to see, an army versus another army type thing. That's always been my dream of seeing, as an Alien fan. There's a really niche game called Colonial Marines 13. It's a mod of Space Station 13.
I've not heard of that one.
Have you not? It's like it's relatively big. Basically, the Colonial Marines land on a planet, responding to a distress call, and a xenomorph hive will attack them as they land, and they're all players. You'll get like 160 players in one game, and all the Xenos are players and the Marines are players, and it sort of encapsulates what a battle might look like between the Colonial Marines, who are prepared. They have like 4 squads. It's not like in Aliens where they're ambushed and know what's going on. And it'd be cool just to capture a total war, what that might look like.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Actually, that looks interesting.
It's a really niche, like 2D game, but it's quite popular. Yeah, they cover on the forums. They talk about your guys' stuff, so it would be good to give them a little shout out, I think.
Hey, anybody who loves us, we'll go out of our way.
Yeah, definitely. Another short I have planned is it's kind of like a found footage type format, like Blair
I'm
Witch.
sold already. I'm sold already.
Blair Witch Alien? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a maintenance engineer on this Sevastopol station as shit goes down. And
Even
it's kind
better.
of him documenting it. The working Joe's just going crazy. Him going through an event. He's like being followed by like a xenomorph. He doesn't even know what that is. He just sees this like creepy figure chasing him, and then he kind of documents how he tries to escape. I thought that would be quite cool. All of these are in 10-minute formats.
I think Alien is perfect for found footage. Well, maybe
Definitely.
Aliens more because that whole setup is already there. With the helmet cams and
that's true. Yeah,
and the like the smart gun eyepiece, because that's got to record footage somewhere as well. So it's got to be like gun cam footage of that. And I've always wanted to see somebody try and do a Alien found footage fan film, because I think it just inherently works. It's more of a on the fly kind of format that I think would work really well on a lower budget in live action as well. So I'm
definitely
okay. I'm very curious to see what you do with that one. Very curious.
Okay, well that would probably be, if not the next, then the one after, because I have all the assets from the Alien Isolation game, so I can kind of just play around with that, and it would just be a lot of fun.
That's got to be the games, they've got to be something that really help out like people such as yourselves, because then you have all these Unreal models that you can rip from Colonial Marines, and you've got all these assets that you can take from Isolation, and even the sounds and stuff.
Yeah, I mean the sound design in Alien Isolation it's got to be one of the best from any game I've ever played. Like I love the game so much. I'm so sad they never made a sequel.
Yeah, I mean there's rumors that maybe eventually, but yeah, I mean that goes beyond fan creators too. I mean Aaron, on the books they've used the Colonial Marines alien model like how many times now, right? So so the games do provide a resource, for people. Now, speaking of resources, like you learned the skill of animation during COVID, right? So if someone was interested in learning animation themselves, where would you recommend they start?
I would recommend Source Filmmaker, just because it's very cheap, and for free you can use so many assets. It would just give you a basic idea of movie making in general, because it's not just the animation, of course, it's the camera angles, the cinematography, the color grading. This would just give you such a nice sort of warm beginning to animation. Unreal's, it looks relatively easy, but it's very complicated to get what you want. And I would only recommend that after. And of course, you've got Blender as well, which I am using for the movie. All the planet shots are from Blender. But that's even more complicated than Unreal. It's not something I use. So I would say Source Filmmaker's a great place to start, and then Unreal when you're ready.
Did you just like look up tutorials off the bat, or did you just like, I'm just going to get into the software and explore it and see what I can do?
No, I follow tutorials like religiously.
And any particular person, or
No, not really. I would just, if I have, like a thought, okay, I want this scene to look a certain way, I would Google it. Like, how do I emulate a sun, or how do I do slow motion? Like the thought would come to me, and then I would just Google it afterwards. But there's a lot of official material which is super useful as well. So I would always recommend start there.
Cool.
Well, I think we're about asked out, are we, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, if I think I've seen most of your work now, but I'll be definitely keeping an eye out for all you have in the pipeline. It sounds like some interesting stuff. But
Please do.
if anyone would like to check out your work, where can they find you?
Yeah, sure. So of course I have my YouTube channel. It's Xing_Republic. That Xing with an X, just like my name here. I'm also on Instagram. Same handle. It's Xing_Republic. And I'll also be checking the comments of this, of course. So if anyone has a question, feel free to ask. I'll always give you that time. I'm such a big fan, and I think it's great to interact with other big fans.
Oh, of course, yeah. Look,
Always.
I mean, it's half the fun of what we do is, nerding out with other nerds, shall we say?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we got some new official things coming out. We have Romulus, we have the Fox series as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see some life brought back into the franchise.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
As of recording today, we've got a new game.
It's looking like I'll be playing it in a few hours. It should unlock the same time for you on Steam, Aaron. So that's probably what we'll be doing a lot of this week, and writing a review on that. So
awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. It looks amazing. It's so fresh as well. Looks quite similar to XCOM, which I think is a good thing. I love XCOM. I'm such a big fan.
I had a friend that was really into it, but I haven't played it myself. So it'll be interesting to get into this new kind of game experience with Alien, that I haven't really done before.
Yeah, looks very good.
So I'll also include links to Uzzing's channels in the post that goes on the website with this, and on the YouTube upload. So if you're too lazy to search him, but you're lazy enough to enough to click links, go and check out in the video description or on the website.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Go check him out. Go give him a subscribe. Go give those videos a like, and support this man down here.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Yeah, I guess that's it. Adam, do you want to haul us out?
Well, you can always find us at avpgalaxy.net and all the usual social channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. And if you're listening to us on podcasting platforms, we always do appreciate you leaving a rating. It really does help us out if you enjoy listening to our content. But thanks again for joining us. And Henry, thank you for coming on and chatting with us, and look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope everybody out there else has also enjoyed listening to us and Xing talk about his passion. This has been Corporal Hicks
and RidgeTop
and Xing Republic signing off.